Rodgers pumps, looking for the end zone. Touchdown, Mississippi.
Thoughts keep running through my head as I walk this road with nothing ahead. The sun beams down on my face as I walk this road that leads to amazing grace.
Rodgers fires end zone. Touchdown, Mississippi State.
Welcome into the Road in Betweens, sponsored by the Friends of missionscape. We are teaming up with Johnny's World with our dear friend John Clark Packer and his celebration of life. He has cystic fibrosis, and he created a podcast to highlight inspirational people and stories. And we are teaming up together to be with our friend Will Rodgers, who has been just a huge influence in our state of Mississippi, and we have been friends for a very long time, and it's great to be with you, Will. Thanks for coming on today.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for having me. Appreciate it.
We lived next door to each other when you were in elementary school and little guy, and just got to watch you grow up, and then you went to Brandon and set all those records over there with your dad as offensive coordinator. And we're just a big fan. And then you go to state, and what a blessing that was. And we're ready to talk about your story. And our highlight really is how God lives in the transitions of life. Kind of the road in between is the name of and that's exactly where, what do you do when it's not all mapped out yet? And your story is certainly one of those, as we look at how God's connecting the dots and the journey that you've been on. So thank you again. John Clark, you went to Mississippi State. You live now in Starkville, and you've been to every game that Will has played in. So kind of start us off with some questions for Will.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been a State fan since I was 11 years old. So Bulldog through and through, even though I know you're a Rebel, Tom. So we always have a little sparring match between us. But I'll tell you one thing, though, and you'll agree with this, that Coach Leach and Lane Kiffin, when they both got here, it kind of smoothed the toxicity out of the rivalry with as it was with Mullen and Free. So we all kind of got along a little bit better with all that. But Will, I mean, everyone knows who you are in Mississippi, and the record you set will never be forgotten. Just your time at Mississippi State. You'll go down as a legend. But I have to start it from the beginning. I want to know this personally. I know everybody else does too. Coach Leach, when did you first meet Coach Leach, and tell us any good stories? Tom wanted me to ask about that. He heard an Arkansas story that your dad told him that there's a good Leach Arkansas story. I don't know what that is, but just tell us about Coach Leach.
Yeah, I mean, my relationship with Leach probably goes back, way back to even when I was in high school, when he recruited me to Washington State. But the first time I had heard about Coach Leach, I was actually in first grade. I actually remember it very, very vividly. I was in first grade and coming home from my dad's coaching high school football. So coming home from practice with my dad, and my dad's always excited about Texas Tech's playing Texas. And I really didn't know what was going on at the time, but I remember sitting down and watching the game and watching how electric Coach Leach's offense was. And that was actually the game that Michael Crabtree caught the ball to beat Texas. So it's kind of a crazy deal. But once Coach Leach started recruiting me out of high school, and it's honestly a thanks to Gardner Minshew that, a school from Washington is recruiting a kid from Mississippi. So without Gardner, I probably would not have even, had the chance to be recruited by Coach Leach to Washington State. Go through the recruiting process, things like that. And I actually decided to stay in state. That was something that was really personal for me, is I really wanted to stay close to home and preferably in state and play for either State or Ole Miss coming out of high school. And I got a chance to do that with Coach Moorhead, who was at Mississippi State at the time. And not knowing what was to come with Coach Leach or anything like that. But, Tom was talking about the road in between and talking about my faith and things like that. And, I can remember just talking to God one night, not really knowing what I wanted to do coming out of high school and, just praying, I know this is the right place for me at Washington State. But at the same time, my heart is here in Mississippi and I want to be in Mississippi and play for one of the two schools in the state. So it was definitely a God thing for sure. I didn't see it come to fruition for about, 4 or 5 months after. And, I guess the rest is kind of history for the next 3.5 years with Coach.
Well, do you have a good, a funny? I know everybody wants to hear about the Leach funny stories. You have a good funny story about Leach? You want to talk about? I'm sure you got many.
Yeah, no, it's a lot, and I was actually, everywhere I go, people are like, "Well, what's your best Leach story?"
Right.
And I have to start thinking, and I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool, one day if all the quarterbacks from over the years sat down at a round table and I don't know, played cards and talked about Leach stories for a couple hours or so. You could make a 30 for 30 on that for sure. But it was just his everyday routine and what he did. Showing up. If a meeting started at 3:00, he was going to roll in there at 3:45 with a cup of coffee and a sandwich in a bag and a banana. That was Leach. So he did things his way, and nobody really told him otherwise, and he really didn't care what everybody thought about him. But what's my best one? Oh, the Trump story is pretty good. We're sitting in the middle of practice, and during special teams, Coach Leach is kind of off to the side. He obviously doesn't do special teams, so I know right when he got there, he would have his headphones in during practice while special teams was going on, and he would be listening to Rosetta Stone, trying to learn Spanish in the middle of practice. This is our head coach, and so he's over there standing off to the side one day, and we're waiting on him to start practice because you don't start without him because he's the head coach and he calls the plays. So the offense is waiting on him, and he finally got over there about 5 or 10 minutes while we're literally standing there on the field waiting for him. And it turns out he was on the phone with Donald Trump for a little bit there in practice. So that's probably one of the better ones that I have. Yeah. Just talking to Trump in the middle of practice, no big deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've seen you in a other podcast, or I've seen an interview, but I want to ask you this again. So, was it true Leach through every play he called was a pass play, and then you had to you did the running plays, or how'd that work?
Yeah, probably about 90% of them. There was probably, I don't know, maybe one or two a game that he would actually call. And, we were running it 15 to 25 times a game. So all those are a credit to me. And, it's kind of the weird, if it works, it's a good call by me. If it doesn't, I'm probably going to hear about it on the sideline. So that's probably what Dad was talking about. The famous Arkansas story is there's a third and goal, and I called a run play, and it did not work, and he did not like that. And then we're coming out of halftime, and it's a 4th and 1, and he just points at me, and I'm just like, what does that even mean? And I called a run play, and it worked. So thank God. If that run play didn't get a first down, I was probably going to be pulled and not been in the game anymore. He would have been really mad. But yeah, he doesn't call the run plays a lot. But that's the beauty of his offense. He let his guys play, and he let his guys have a lot of freedom. And it got to a point where if we were in a great rhythm, we were almost out there just playing backyard football and just having fun with it, which is what's good for college kids and good for football players. Just go out there and have fun with it, and don't think about a whole lot. Just go have fun and go play ball.
I love how you threw the ball, though. It was very catchable. Your precision was unreal, Will.
Well, thank you.
Especially on the sidelines, man, just where only he could get it.
Yeah, we're still working on that, Tom. So don't jinx me or anything.
Okay. Well, you got new players. You know,
Yes, sir.
you got to build the chemistry back.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, we were thinking you've been through what, 6 coaches in 4 years?
Yeah, so I guess you could count Coach Moorhead, Coach Leach, Coach Arnett, Coach DeBoer now, and then Coach Fish. So I guess that's 5, I think.
5.
And then you
5.
got and then you had Greg Knox as the interim.
Yeah,
I think that's what we
yeah,
got to
that's
see.
right, Coach Knox. I can't leave my guy, Coach Knox, out. That's my guy.
I think
So
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
it.
about
Yeah.
6. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
he did a great job. But yeah, no, it's been a lot. So
Well, you know, when we were
Will,
first together, you were 18 years old when you came to the
wow.
church and you shared February 16th, 2020. You were just getting ready to start at state. You know,
right.
and you'd gone up early. And now looking back at you, you know, just the way you have handled yourself through all of that. John Clark has been amazing.
I remember that. I was there that day. We went and ate at
Yep.
Northwood afterwards. You remember that?
Oh
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah. Time
Uh,
flies, man. Time flies.
It sure does. Well, we're going to transition. Tom's going to take the lead here in a second, but I want to talk about this. It's going to lead into Tom's part is about choosing Washington. I want to know, like, and let everybody know what made you choose Washington. But then I want to hit on the aspect of, you're talking about how you almost started your career in Washington State, and then Coach Leach comes to Mississippi State, and then you're going to end your college career in the state of Washington, but at the other school and not Washington
Yeah.
University of Washington. So kind of just a
Yeah.
whole full circle moment right there. We kind of want to talk about that and lead into it. But what made you choose Washington?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a full circle moment, and I've thought about that, I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, I was, this close to being out here in general. And now, if you would have told me I was going to be playing football at the University of Washington, 2 or 3 years ago, I would have told you you're crazy and, not knowing what's to come, obviously. But, the Lord has a special way of working and making his plan the perfect plan. And, it's something that I've really had to learn and not necessarily learn the hard way, but just learn through things that I've been through. Because, like I said, 2 years ago, you're a 4-year starter or a 3-year starter at the time. You're coming off a win against Ole Miss and in the Egg Bowl, and you think life is great, and you're just going to cruise on through your senior year, break a record, and go to the NFL. And that's what I had in mind. That's what I planned, and obviously we're in a different spot, but like I said, I've learned not to question the Lord by any means necessary. So I know that I went through last year what I had to go through, getting injured and things like that. I know that's going to only make me a better person, a better player now. So, like I said, everything that I've been through, I've learned not to question the Lord and what he has for me. But in terms of Washington, once I got in the portal, I was hearing from some schools, around 10 to 15 schools were calling me. And, I told everybody I wanted to get down to, 2 or 3 because, my situation was different. I'm not a high school kid. I'm not taking 10 visits or going on all these junior days and things like that. I had to make my decision, in 2 to 4 weeks. So I kind of had it down to, Washington or Miami. And I was really, really leaning towards Washington in general just because of, what they did on offense, how successful they were. Obviously, Mike Penix had been through some things at Indiana. He came over here, lit it up for 2 years, and he's going to get drafted in the first round probably. And then I obviously have a relationship with Dylan Johnson, who played with me at Mississippi State. And he was telling me just great things about the program and the coaches and things like that. And that's ultimately why I decided to come to Washington. Obviously, they had reached out when I entered the portal and things like that, but that's ultimately why I decided to come to Washington. And then once I get here, boom, you think life's been tough since, December of 2022 or whatever it was when Coach died, passed away. you think life's been tough for the past 13 months. You think you're getting away from it by coming out here and starting over. And then 2 weeks after I get here, it's another curveball thrown at me. So it's kind of just like, wow, like, I mean, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong in life? What am I, just starting to question myself, question other things. And, I think it's going to make me a better person. I think it's going to make me a better player. And I think it's going to draw me closer to the Lord in the end as well. A lot of people haven't been through what I've been through with the passing of Coach Leach. Not only Coach Leach, but I lost a coach before that, the year before, that had just gone to USC, that had been with me my first 2 years at Mississippi State. Coach Dave Nickel. He passed away from cancer. So losing 2 coaches, losing a teammate during that deal, a lot of people haven't been through what I've been through. And like I said, I think it's just going to make me a better person and a better player when it's all said and done.
Yeah, that road in between is all about handling fear of failure, loss, leaving things. Abraham and Sarah, God told them to get up and go. They had to leave their people, leave their country and go. And they had the courage to do that. And look what happened. He became the father of all 3 great religions.
Right. And I think that's what can be challenging for us is sometimes I think if as Christians, if Jesus Christ was standing right there in the door and told you to pack up all your stuff and go, we would go. Yeah. But it's just finding out, how is the Lord talking to me? What is the Lord trying to say to me in this moment? That can be challenging sometimes, and that's one thing that I struggle with, honestly, is it's one of my biggest fears as well is not doing what God wants, and I personally have never heard the Lord talk to me. I've never heard God speak to me. Some people can say they've heard God say things to them. I personally have never had that happen to me when talking to the Lord, but there's other ways that He will talk to me. So it's all about just having your faith in Him and having your trust in Him, and just knowing that His plan is better than anything I can ever imagine.
When you finished up at State, I was thinking, I like the quote you said, I need to go to a program that fits who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And when you came to the church 4 years ago, you were just starting out, and I thought you knew who you were, but you really know your gifts. You are a pastor. You know,
right.
You in 3 seconds it's out, 2 seconds it's out, and you needed a program that fit that. And then when DeBoer leaves, and then Fish comes in, and
mm-hmm.
didn't y'all beat Arizona, right? And
twice.
When he was twice.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Fish if I hear any talk or anything like that from any of the Arizona guys, I just, I got you 2-0 right now, big guy. Yeah, it's funny.
That's great. Well, it's 2,539 miles between Brandon, Mississippi, and Seattle, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
You know it well. It's 35 hours and 30 minutes. Drove it.
Yeah, that's a hike.
And that whole journey, and you went out there knowing Dylan Johnson, right? You knew him.
And he is gone now. And
he's gone.
Yeah.
So you are like, okay, Lord.
Yeah.
Wow. Handling loneliness, a lot of our listeners and viewers, this road in between is a real deal. This is really deep where, okay, who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? Those 4 basic life questions.
Right.
But you are just, you're living that and trying to answer those through the hirings and the firings and the COVID. We didn't even talk about COVID.
Yeah. No, it's been a journey for sure. And I'm not saying I'm, like you were saying, I'm still trying to figure things out every single day, about myself, about my faith, and, in my walk with the Lord every single day. So I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that I've been perfect or always done the right thing or, have always, said the right thing or, but it's a journey, and all I try to do is just be a better person, be a better man than I was the day before. So some days I accomplish that, and some days I don't. I'm not a perfect person by any stretch of the imagination, but there's one thing that I am confident in, and that's my faith, and that's putting my trust in my Lord and Savior. So
Don't you love Jeremiah 29:11?
yeah,
Man,
no doubt.
you're living it.
Yeah,
I know the plans I have for you. Good God, because I don't know those plans. I need to know those
exactly,
plans.
exactly.
Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future.
Yes, sir.
You've walked that. You have, even through the midst of we live between suffering and hope.
Hmm.
And we certainly have lived that. And that's exactly where God meets us.
Right.
When you spoke at Coach Leach's funeral, I was very impressed with what you said and the way you handled yourself. I know that was probably very difficult,
Yes, sir.
but you did it so well, and uh, you kept living, and that's John Clark's big mantra is just keep living
Right.
when you go through adversity, which is
Mm,
the theme for all of our stories. It's the great 3-act play. You start out, the first act is character development, the second act is crisis or chaos, and then the third act is redemption.
hmm
And you're kind of in that second act to now you're into that third act, your last year college sports. And then I'd love to I'm looking forward to seeing where the Lord leads you after that.
Right. No, I'm looking forward to it. Whatever it may be. Hopefully I can have a really good year and have a chance at the next level. But I'm at a point in my life with everything that I've been through that if that isn't the case, I'm content with everything that I've done. I can honestly say that I've left everything that I have at Mississippi State, and I'm going to do the same thing at Washington. You can ask anybody that I've ever been around, any of my teammates, and they're going to tell you the same thing about me wherever I've been, and that's that I've showed up every day, I've given it my all, and I've led the team as well as I could. So hopefully, God willing, I'll have a chance at the next level and a big year at Washington. But if that's not the case, like I said, I'm extremely content on what I've done, and I know that the Lord has bigger plans for me.
You stayed humble. You set all the records at state. You set the SEC record. You were humble pie, man. I'm so in a world of ego, Will Rogers, you are. You
I
are very
appreciate you, Tom.
humble.
I appreciate you.
And that's what we love about you. You know what I came across? Washington, okay? 49,025 students in you.
Yep.
And the slogan is, let there be light.
How about that?
How about that? Let there be
Wow.
light. And here you are bringing another candle into the program, a program that's been depleted, and God is going to wrap new guys around you to protect you. You got these wide receivers. How are your wide receivers? Are they?
They're great. They're great. Some younger guys that have kind of waited their turn. Because they're going to have their three starters last year are all going to get drafted high. Really, 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 really good players. But they have some younger guys that have been ready to play. But obviously, they had some pretty good players in front of them. So we're looking forward to it. We're starting spring ball April 1st, I think. So we're going to be a little later than everybody else because they played in the national championship, obviously. But we're excited. We're working hard right now. So.
Well, what was it like sitting at the game, national championship? I saw you get to throw some passes.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I was just tossing around with actually tossing around with Dylan Johnson before the game, just out there messing around a little bit. But it was cool. It was a really cool experience. Obviously, I wasn't a part of it a ton, during the week. I wasn't around the team a lot, which rightfully so. I wouldn't want anybody from the outside being involved if I was playing in the national championship game either. But it was really cool just to be there, experience it. A lot more security, a lot more cameras, everything like that. But I mean, once the game kind of kicked off, it was, just football at that point. So.
Well, I have to say what Tom said a little while ago. You're talking about humble pie. Will Rogers, I have to say this. Out of all, you play quarterback, all right? Quarterback is the most scrutinized position in all of football. Critics come after you right, left, right, left.
Right,
I
right.
couldn't take it, man. I would have fired back. Not one time did I ever hear you say a negative word about anybody when they're criticizing. And that's just shows the character that you are and what a great young man you are. And we're so proud of you because – I mean, it takes strong will to not fire back at people when they're coming at you, and you've held on strong, and you're a shining light, like Tom said. So,
well, appreciate. Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand that, like, especially fans. Fans can get wrapped up in the game, and obviously some people are probably betting on the game and things like that, and getting upset and things like that. But you don't see any of my friends saying that about me, anybody that I know saying that about me. So
right.
Those people don't know me. They've never, had a conversation with me, and they'll get over it. So
you have to turn off. You have to turn off social media sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, and it's something that I've done on and off a little bit through my career. I'm actually gonna cut it all off at the start of camp this year, just to. I got one more crack at this thing, so I don't want there to be really any distractions. And, kind of like John Clark said, I respect what people have to say outside of, the building and opinions and things like that. But, at the same time, you want to keep the main thing. And, if you're worried about something else that somebody else is saying, I don't think you're really focused on what you're actually trying to do and get accomplished that week. And people talk about the physical grind in the season, but when you talk to somebody who's actually played a lot of football and guys in the NFL, the mental grind is really, really hard too. And that you see guys like the quarterback series, you see Kirk Cousin, talking to psychologists and things like that week to week, and that stuff's surreal. So. Like I said, I try and just get off social media this year and just keep the main thing the main thing.
Good. You got a big support system. Your family loves you so much.
Absolutely. That's the best thing in the world. So.
And you now have a ton of Washington fans in the state of Mississippi.
Yes, you do.
I hope so.
And DK, we got to get DK and Will together.
Yeah, we can do that. I'd love to.
Get y'all together.
We got a couple. I'm thinking we got myself. I guess DK's out here with the Seahawks. Charles Cross, my left tackle, my first 2 years, plays left tackle for the Seahawks now too. So he's the man. He actually hit me up on social media last week. So I have to find a time to get in touch. And then he's not from Mississippi, but obviously another connection to the Seahawks is the coach that brought me in, Coach Ryan Grubb. He just took the Seahawks offensive coordinator job too. So,
wow,
there's
that movement of the spirit.
No kidding.
There's no random moments. It's all God incidents, no coincidence.
Right.
And, oh my gosh. Well, you've got a great season ahead, and Washington. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you had grits?
It's been a minute. It's been a while. I was grits and sweet tea. I think I drink sweet tea 3 meals a day at home, and I get out here and I can't find it anywhere. I mean, I'm going to every store, and I go to a restaurant and they're like, "Yeah, we have tea, but it's iced tea," and I'm like, "No, do y'all have sweet tea?" They're like, "No, we'll bring you tea and you can put sugar in it." I was like, "I don't want that. I want sweet tea." They're like, "We don't have that." So. I've just been drinking some water everywhere I go. If I go out to eat or anything like that, I've just been having a glass of water instead.
That's good. Well, NIL, are you taken care of?
They're doing a good job, and they do a good job out here. Taking care of their guys, and walk-ons, scholarships, starters, non-starters. It doesn't really matter. They do a really good job of taking care of the team and. Making sure that everybody's, got meals, a place to stay, things like that. So it's a really, really big credit to Coach Fish and the staff. They do a really good job with that.
Excellent. You need to be taken care of. You know, Jehovah Jireh means the Lord will provide. Jehovah Jireh, you know, and that's so true. He will provide. We're in the middle of Lent, which is purple. I got purple back here in this robe.
I see it.
But purple is the color of red and blue. Okay, blue is divinity, red is humanity, and you put them together and you get purple. And when Christ was on the cross, he was both. He was both blue and red, and as he came together, he was bruised, and bruises are purple. And you've been bruised. You know, you've been through a lot of bruising. You great accolades, great accomplishments. But your story is deeper than that. It's also how, you know, you've been through so much, more than anybody I know. And yet through that, you're revealing the divinity living within you. And then your humanity. Hey, I don't have it all figured out.
Right.
And I think that is your testimony. And that inspires us. It's like John Clark, you know, he's living with cystic fibrosis. He's one of the oldest survivors. And he's showing his humanity, but God is just shining through him. And
absolutely,
it's quite a story. Quite a story. Yep. Well, we love you, and we look forward to your season ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I hope y'all can stay up late and watch some games out here on the West Coast. So
I think John Clark's going to come out we're trying to come out maybe to the Michigan game.
Yeah, we're going to try to come out here.
A lot of I talked to some of my teammates at State, and a lot of those guys are trying to get out here for that game. I think it's their first bye week.
Yeah, it's a bye week.
Yeah.
We might be on blow up mattresses on my floor here in my apartment.
Oh man, well, you're in a good spot. Don't be sleepless in Seattle. Rest well. God's got you in the palm of his hand, and you know that. And it means a lot for you to come on and share a little bit of your story. And, you know, we're here for you.
I appreciate it.
We love you, Will. So proud of you.
Yeah, I love you guys. Hey, thank y'all. Thank y'all, man. It means a lot.
All right.
Thank you, Will.
Take care.
We'll talk soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.